anyone wants to send messages to your coaches, let them know we're on.
Yes. Okay. All right. First off, I'm just going to share my screen really quick, and then I'm going to unshare it. And goodness, where do I do that? Oh, there it is. Because I just want to celebrate before we jump into next year. I do want to take a second and celebrate a few things I was looking at today, and I'll share this in the team page probably Thursday. But just we had some really cool things happen on our team this last year. We had if you're not familiar with Road to Elite, basically it's kind of the company's what am I looking for? Kind of recognition program, but also like recognition and like, are you building a team of leaders? So we actually had a person in each category. There's 4 of them: elite, premier, team leader, and builder. So Brooke hit elite for the first time this year. I hit premier. Rebecca hit team leader, and Anne hit team builder. So make sure to shout them out or congratulate. Like, those are big deals because there is like kind of a lot that goes into, they have to have so many number of points. They have to have so many number of people hitting Success Club each month. So basically it's just a program that shows like you are duplicating this business. You're not just a one-woman show running it, like you have leaders below you, which is a really big deal. And I know something like I wanted from the start in my business that I thought I was like, how am I going to get other ladies to want to do this with me? And it's just, that's when I feel like the business gets a lot of dang fun. We also had 8 new diamonds pop on our team and the whole downline, which is super exciting, and almost 250 new coaches and preferred customers. So if you are new this last year, welcome. We're so glad you're here. I'm going to stop sharing, but I just wanted to shout that out because I think it's just a really cool thing. Okay. How do I stop sharing? Stop sharing. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and get us started with an activity. We're basically going to split this call into 3 things, which is your vision, setting your vision, kind of your why, and how, like, what are the obstacles that you are definitely going to face this year and why this matters so much that you're writing these things down, that you're talking about them out loud rather than like keeping them a little secret diary of like the things that you wish would happen one day. And then like how to align your business goals with the things you actually want out of life. And all of us on this call are going to want something different. Like, that's the beauty of coaching, is like we can do whatever we want with this business. Some of us might want to like replace our income and like build a 6-figure business. Go do that. Some of us just like, hey, maybe I just want an extra $200 to $500 a month to help out with groceries or vacations or, just life stuff that comes up. So I know, thinking of getting this part started of the visions, for so long, like I lived a very cookie cutter, people pleasing life, which is okay. That's totally fine. But I always felt like I was meant for more. Like I always knew, like I kind of wanted more for our family. I wanted to do things a little differently than I saw a lot of people ahead of me doing things, where it's just like working the 9 to 5, only having time for family on weekends, being rushing to every event and schedule. And like, I don't know, I always remember thinking like, I'm living this cookie cutter life that everyone else in front of me is doing, going to college, doing all the things, checking all the boxes, getting married, starting my education. But also I'm like, this isn't really what I want. And it wasn't until a few years ago when I started actually writing and saying these things that I wanted out loud that they actually started to, like, I finally started to take the actions it took to get there. For example, like even when I was a brand new coach, I did not do these activities because I was like, who am I to do? I don't even know what I'm doing. Who am I to get any of these things that I really want? But I've learned, like, if I never say those things out loud, for example, my first like big thing I wanted to do is I wanted to replace my teaching income. Like for the first 2 years of my coaching career, I never said that to anybody. I didn't say it to my husband. I didn't even say it like out loud to myself. I didn't tell my own coach that I want it. And it's like, if you can't even say the things that you want, of course they're never going to happen. So that's kind of what we want to do. We want to give you permission tonight, this year, to just do that. And if you're a realist and it's like, those things are really hard for you to do, like, that's okay. But like the things that are been put in your heart are there for a reason. And I can tell you, I've now been like doing my visions and goal setting and these vision boards for the past, I think 4 years now. I didn't do my first couple years of coaching, but almost everything I've had on those boards have manifested, which is insane to me. Like, but that's like what happens when you start to write things down, when you start to align your daily actions of like, and then weekly actions and then monthly actions, like to what you actually want, like those things actually start to come true. So I will share with you later in this call of like some of the things I wrote down in 2017 and 2018 that I remember seemed huge at the time. Like, I'm like, how are we going to do this? How are we going to save this much money? How are we going to remodel the bathroom? And now I'm like, those things are teeny tiny, but like to me now, but like back then they were huge. But if I wouldn't have taken the time to write them down, I don't know if they ever would have happened. So, okay, so we are going to do an activity called your ideal day activity. And maybe you've done this before. But again, I just want to give you guys permission to dream and to kind of get you started. I'm just going to share my ideal day with you. And what I want you to do when you do this is set no limits. Like, money is not a limit. Time is not a limit. Who you are with is not a limit. Like where in the world you are is not a limit. For me, I'm going to do mine like 5 years from now. And I'm going to do it on a Tuesday. Like, just make it an average day. It doesn't need to be like a weekend or a Friday night. Like, what is your average day? And I have a graphic of this I'm going to share after I share my ideal day. But like, basically, I'm just thinking of, what time am I getting up in the morning? What am I wearing? Who am I with? What's the rhythm of my day feel like? And again, it's nothing like, oh my goodness, this is my everyday. It's just my average Tuesday. So for me, my average everyday ideal day in 5 years is I wake up at like 5:30 or 6, because I love being a morning person and knocking out my workout first thing. I love having like some quiet time before the kids are awake, where I can just ground myself, get a little devotion done, read my Bible, watch the sunrise, and start drinking my Energize, get on the virtual gym, seeing all these ladies crush it, and work out alongside of my husband, because my ideal day, he's working out alongside of me. He might be doing lift more or lift 4 or something, and I'm probably doing like job 1 or a 20-minute workout or whatever 5 years from now, whatever 20-minute awesome butt kicking workout we have by then. And then the kids are starting to wake up. The 5 kids are rolling up. I'm making them breakfast, getting them out the door for school. It's also end of May. That's kind of where I'm at with, like, it's just really, really nice out. It's about to be summer, but the kids are still in school. Like, they're headed off to school. So we do our devotion together. Josh and I are both there. We're present. We're giving them hugs. We're helping them get out the door. We get on the bus, and then I come back home and I either go up to my office upstairs, I go maybe out on our deck, or I head out to the coffee shop and I work my business for like 2 to 3 hours max. And that is it. And during those 2 to 3 hours, I'm envisioning myself having a few one-on-one calls, because I love having one-on-one calls with ladies. That fuels my soul, helping some new coaches get started, helping people with total solution packs, working on some content for social media, and just doing those kinds of things. And then call up my husband, because he's home too somewhere. I'm like, hey, do you want to go into the brewery in town and grab a burger and a beer? So we get in our Suburban, Ford Escalade, Denali, Pearl White. I've got that part down, and we get a burger, we get a beer, we sit out on the patio, and we just enjoy each other. And then I meet up with a friend for an afternoon hike. The trees are just starting to get their green leaves back. The flowers are just starting to bloom. All the rivers are starting to flow. And then maybe I run to Target or run to get groceries for grilling that night, because it's finally grilling season. So head home, do whatever returns errands. It's just like a low key day where I can just get the things done I want to get done. And then the kids get home, and then their friends start to come over, because our pool in our backyard has just opened up, and we are like, hey, like, this isn't anything planned, but it's like, hey, let's start grilling, and let's just start having neighbors and our kids' friends come over, and everyone just swim, and we'll provide burgers and hot dogs and chips and watermelon. And it's like nothing glamorous, but like the sun is setting and everyone's just having fun in our backyard. and then we all just get ready for bed and go to sleep. And that's my ideal day. So when you think of this, I'm going to share my screen again. These are some things that you, where is it at? Can start thinking about. There we are. Oh my goodness. How do I do the present mode? Sorry, you'd think I'd be a little bit better at this. We'll just do this. Okay. So these are like the categories that I'm like, what are you doing? What is your job? What are the activities? Maybe your day looks so different than mine. Like that is totally, totally fine. Where did you go? What is your rhythm? How did you feel? So these are the kind of things that you could start writing down. And I will tell you too, like when I did this 4 or 5 years ago, besides the whole pool situation, like it's crazy, like how I'm living that life right now. So like, don't be shy. It's just an average day. If you're a realist, I encourage you to get out of your comfort zone. Like where maybe your average day is like in Florida, or you're on a vacation, or you're at your timeshare, wherever it is. So that is kind of where you don't have to do that tonight, but I would love to hear if you want to drop in the chat section, like what is maybe something in your average day that you've thought of when you are either listening to mine or that just kind of has stuck out to you. If you just want to drop in the chat, what's something in your average day that you would like? Oh yes, coffee shop break. I remember when I was in college, I went to a coffee shop a lot in college, and I always thought like, this is the only time I'm going to be able to go to the coffee shop. I'm like, I love the coffee shop. It doesn't have to be just in college to study. Anybody else? A nap, yes. Yes. Brooke, I'm going to make you come hike with me one time. Just so you know, just don't bring your huge
Friend. I need a friend to like drag me because I would do it if someone took me. Otherwise, I'm like, I'll take a nap.
Yeah.
But I would totally work. I thought about this. I'm like 4 to 5 hours in the morning. I feel like that's my sweet spot.
Yes, and mine is like, I feel like, yeah, that three-ish hours is my sweet spot where I'm like, all right, I'm done. I need a break.
Yep.
Time for rain adventures. Yes, no worries. Okay. Well, feel free to keep sharing. Brooke, I'm going to pass it on to you for the next part.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so I actually changed this up a little bit because I like to keep things fresh. So if you heard us do this last year, I have a little bit of a different analogy for you. So the next part is, okay, why is this so important? This is something I'm extremely passionate about. I could talk about this all day long. And if you are new to dreaming, I am reading this book. It is, there's a lot of biblical stuff in here and references. It's called She Dreams by Tiffany Blum, and it is literally amazing. She speaks to my dreamer heart, but she also pulls out a lot of biblical verses on how God created us to dream. And she goes into talking about the story of Moses and a lot of other things, but I'm on this faith journey, and I think it's amazing to really connect, our purpose and these things that we want, our dreams, because I think sometimes as women and moms, it's so easy for us to be like, oh, I'll put that on the back burner because I'm a mom and I'm a wife and I don't know, what my family will think. And we put others in front of our dreams and put them on the back burner, but we were created to dream. Like our dreams in our heart, they are there for a reason, and it is up to us to pull them out and to listen to them. And I know Micah Folsom says this all the time, is listen to the heart tugs. And I feel like this whole journey for me, it's been just like little heart tug after heart tug after heart tug. And that is where your dream and your vision is. So why is this important? You need to know where you are going and how you are going to get there. Otherwise, if you don't take the time to do this, 2023 is going to be really hard. You are going to be wandering, you're going to feel lost, and it's going to feel like you're going on a road trip without a GPS. So I want you to imagine that, you know, there's you're the little car, and you're in Wisconsin. I'm going to say that because I got my Wisconsin teammates on here, and you want to drive to California. You always wanted to go to California. You've never been there, and you decide to get in your car and start driving. Well, what would happen if you don't have a GPS? Like, who the heck knows where you are going to go, because this is a long journey. So it's kind of a no-brainer. When you have a destination, your vision, your why, having that GPS and that map to guide you to how to get there is crucial. So this is why this sounds fluffy, and a lot of people will look at the vision boards as a bunch of, you know, extras that you don't really need to do, but it is essential to aligning the correct actions to get you to your vision. And the other thing too is, I know that Brooke and I have a lot of leaders and new people on this call. Your dream is not going to look like mine. Mine's not going to look like Brooke's. Mine isn't going to look like Candace's. Candace's won't look like Jessica. Jessica's won't look like Jennifer's. It has to be unique and compelling to you. Maybe you don't want to go to California. Maybe you would rather go to Florida. Maybe you would rather go to Colorado. That's what makes us all so unique and different. Our visions are not all going to be the same. So especially when it comes to the business, to come in here and be like, I want to be diamond is great. But what does that mean for you? What is that going to bring you? Is it going to lead you to a trip, recognition, a certain income? Like, what is behind that? And then when you dig deeper, I want you to ask yourself, well, why 3 times? I want to be diamond. And Brooke will talk about this a little bit. Well, why? Oh, because I want the trip. Well, why? Because I never really get to take vacations. Well, why? Because da, 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 da. So you can really start to dig deep into why that is important to you. Okay, here is a second thing about going on a road trip. There are going to be roadblocks, and you know, you can imagine on a road trip what that would look like. There's storms, accidents, lane closures, breakdowns, gas stations. You're going to need to take breaks. You're going to need to go to the bathroom, especially if you're going from Wisconsin to California, unless you just find a way to bust through that without stopping. There may be things that come up on the road that you are not expecting. And just like that, that is the same thing that's going to happen in 2023. There will be sickness, inflation, who knows where that's going, losses, family changes, isolation, lack of sleep, stress, anxiety, people quitting and leaving your business. Oh, it happens. I had to throw that in there because sometimes we like to put our eggs in a basket and then it's like, oh, they're gone. These are things that are natural. They happen in life. And when we have a compelling vision and a compelling why that we are working towards, these roadblocks are going to be like bumps instead of big mountains. If something is going to stop you in your tracks, your why is not big enough. You have to find something, and you have to be prepared for life to hit, because I hate to break it to you, but life's going to keep rolling. And I'll give you guys a little bit of an example. For me, and gosh, I could start writing a book about my coaching journey at this point. I know Brooke could too. We were talking about it a little bit earlier. Like, this journey is not linear. And my most recent experience, so you see that our team's a lead and hoorah, my picture's up there and it's great. We're going to celebrate. But yeah, new level, new devil, man. Every time you work towards your goal, you're going to be faced with a new challenge and a new obstacle. And again, it's not a matter of if, but when it's going to happen, and what it's going to look like for you and how you choose to handle it. So November, we had our diamond retreat in Florida. It was amazing. I was fired up. Our team had locked in our elite points for the year. We had hit and held 5-star. I mean, elite was literally like, I could taste it. It was right there, but they had one box that we had to check, which was holding 5-star for 1 week in Q4. Okay. So we left this retreat. I'm like, okay, we've got the pieces. I had a new coach that was ready to go. We were rocking and rolling. And my daughter got the flu. We were actually on the bike tour when my husband called, and she had a horrible cough, a fever, and she ended up having influenza. So I was like, okay, it's gonna be tough walking home into this, but I'm feeling energized. We got this. Okay. Well, what happens when your kids get the flu? I don't know, but with me, they're all over me, and then I get sick because they're like kissing me and cuddling me and all of that. So I ended up getting the flu. Addie got the flu. I think Aubrey was sick for a day, but she's got like an immune system of steel. I swear she like was fine. And then Steven, of course, avoided it. So I was down with my two little ones, and it was rough. I was sick for 10 days because after I had the flu, I got a secondary sinus infection. Literally was like, Steven, I'm about to go to the ER to just get like an antibiotic dumped into my arm because something's not working. And luckily I got it figured out, but I missed a lot of work. Our team lost a lot of momentum. My hope was crushed. I felt depressed. I felt defeated. I literally didn't even want to pull up my back office because I knew how much work had to be done to get there, that it kind of made me sick. I was like, oh my gosh, is this whole year going to be wasted over this one little box we have to check? I couldn't believe it. We had worked so hard all year. We did so many great things. And this one little new box, I was so angry and frustrated. I'm like, how come the year I'm doing this, they have to add this box? And I became bitter and frustrated. And I was left with a decision. I could be pissed. I could sit in those feelings. I could continue to eat my emotions and not go for it, or I could go for it. I was kind of stuck there. So it wasn't like I just woke up and was like, oh, we're going to go and make it happen. No, this took a lot of praying, digging into my health journey, really, reading what I needed to read, going to church, and honestly, like God and praying has been like my big thing. And I just prayed so hard, Lord, help me stay in control of what I can control. Help me do what I wanted to do 4 years ago, which was help people that were like me on the other end. I wanted to keep God's work at the center of my work. So I just prayed so hard on that. And the more I prayed and the more that I read the books and did my workouts and drank the water and leaned into my team, I found that energy. And then I leaned into my vision, you guys. Like that part was huge. I had already envisioned what it was going to be like being elite. So when I was feeling defeated, I was like, okay, just think about next year. What's going to happen when you get that call? How are you going to feel? What is your reaction going to look like? What's going to happen when you get asked to speak on the national wake up call? Like that has been a dream of mine forever. So I was like, oh, okay, just like, when you do this, there's a high chance you're going to get asked to speak on a call. So I've got to make it happen because that's what was going to pull me out of bed. It wasn't honestly the money even, like it was being on the national wake up call. It was getting that elite call. It was that feeling of knowing that I'm going to get that recognition, which honestly, like some people, they're like, I don't care about recognition, but I'm a big recognition person. Okay. Like I was going for that because I know that recognition is going to get me to my goal of continuing to build a bigger team, of continuing to speak. And honestly speaking, this was like my passion. So we went for it. I was exhausted. I even remember in the final weeks, oh my gosh, I was talking to Brooke. I was talking to every person in this network to help lift me through this while I was praying, talking to my husband. And 2 minutes before midnight, our team locked it in before the deadline. It was like insane. And it was truly a team effort. The next day I had to take a massive break, but it was my vision that carried me through. It was the decision to look at that obstacle and choose to work through it and not sit in my feelings. Guys, it's okay to feel your feelings, especially with big things. I don't want to come on here and be like, oh no, if you experience a loss, well, you got to keep working. Like that's horrible. No, you need to feel your feelings. What I'm saying is feel your feelings, but know and be prepared that things like this can happen and will happen, whatever it looks like in your life. Like, it's not going to just be rainbow sunshines and glitter all the time. Life's going to happen. How prepared are you going to be for when it does happen, and what is going to pull you through? That's why this is so, so, so crucial. And you are the only one that can create the vision for yourself. Me and Brooke can sit here and say, oh my gosh, it sounds like this would be a good fit for you. This would be a good goal. You should work towards this. But unless you have that deep emotional attachment, like I had that deep attachment to being asked to speak, like that was like my thing. I'm like, I know this is going to happen. And now guess what? Today, over the past couple of days, I got asked to speak in Vegas for the New Leader Conference that I went to last year. Like, totally blew past the national wake-up call and going on stage. So, okay, here we go. But it was worth it. And that vision is keeping me going. And even now, like, I'm all tired. I'm like, oh my gosh, that was a big push. It's the holidays. But I'm like, no, I'm going to speak. Like, I am picturing myself up there. I'm writing what I'm going to say. I'm envisioning what I'm wearing and all the things. Like, thank you. And I didn't mean to say that, but I just want to show you how important vision is and how unique it needs to be to you, because that's for me. I don't think every single person that comes to me is going to want to speak on the national wake-up call. But what is it that you want to do? Is it the Success Club trip? Is it the Diamond trip? Is it taking your kids to Disney? Is it getting into the best freaking shape of your life and paying for all of your products so that you can be like, hey babe, look, I didn't pay a dime this year for my Shakeology. Thank you very much. And I look darn good. Like, whatever it is, it has to have meaning to you. And this cannot be something that you skip. So I hope that communicates how important that is. And Bricky, I'm going to let you go and talk about the next steps.
Yes. And I just want to share too, like, I know I threw out there and we've been saying it a lot, like the new level, new devil, like it's inevitable. I have so many stories where it's like, all right, I remember the first time I announced to our team, like, guys, we're going for elite. Literally the next day I woke up and I could not get logged into my back office because I made a mistake and they shut me out of my back office for 6 weeks. I didn't get paid for those 6 entire weeks. That was like March, April. And like, it was like, okay, I could either just sit here and be really frustrated with this company, or I could use these next 6 weeks to just pour into my team, even though I'm getting not paid, nothing from it. So there was like that instance. Another instance that popped up for me was like, oh, when we're in the middle of our 10-star diamond quals, what happens? I experienced an awful loss. My second miscarriage happened. And like, that was devastating. Yet, however, like the team like carried me through not only that time, but also just like finishing that 10-star diamond thing where I could have easily just said, I'm not even going to look at anything coaching wise. And I'm so glad we finished strong. And then I even think of this last year where we were going for a 4-time elite. I was like, told my team, I'm like, we're going to go 15-star diamond. And then I get hit with a surprise 5th pregnancy that kicks my butt this whole year. And the thing, I guess, where I'm trying to say is, like Brooke has said so beautifully already, things are going to happen. And I heard Julie Voris say this year, and it has just kind of stuck, stay on the field. Life is going to throw so many curveballs we didn't see coming. Just stay on the field. Keep showing up in some way. Keep helping people in some way. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to like have the perfect post, the perfect groups, the perfect anything. But literally the worst thing you can do is just stop and take yourself completely off the field. Guys, there's been times where I've literally just been like on the field, but I'm like army crawling towards my goals. Or there's times on the field where I'm sprinting full speed ahead, and that feels so good. But the difference, I feel like the last 6 years, I've just continued to stay on the field, and not every season is going to be beautiful and glorious and you're going to hit your goals. But as long as you keep taking those steps forward, you will get to where you want to go. Okay, so I'm going to shift gears a little bit and I'm going to talk about business goals. I know we're getting a little bit late. I'm kind of wrap this up. I'm going to go talk pretty fast. My husband is right up there and he always is like, you talk way too fast. So I'm going to talk fast these next times. But I know we have some new coaches on the call. I know we have some coaches who've been around on the call for a while, but these are some business goals that you can think, because I know your vision board is going to look, your family, your fitness, your faith goals, your money goals, your house goals are going to all look different. but like you should also have a few business goals on there too, because your business goals are going to get you to a lot of these things. It's going to get, at least I know a lot of mine did, a lot of my freedom and flexibility and income wise all stemmed from coaching. So here are some just like realistic goals for you to start thinking about. So the first one is diamond. So if you are a brand new coach, this is basically the stepping stone to everything. I don't care if you've been a coach for a month or a week or 2 years, diamond, or maybe you've hit diamond and you're falling off again, like get to diamond. First off, when you're a diamond, it takes 12 people. So you are a team leader. When you're a diamond, you have 4 people on each leg. So you have 4 coaches on your left leg, 4 coaches on your right leg. And then one of those coaches on each leg are also emerald. So there's 12 people that you have a team now. You know, when you get started as a coach, of course you have us, of course you have, you know, your own coach and your team of sister coaches, but there's a difference when you are a team leader, when your team is looking to you as their leader to guide them, to mentor them. So you are a team leader. You are also cycle bonusing at $18 rather than $14 as an Emerald coach. And let me just tell you, I remember back in those days when I was teetering between like shaky, diamond, and emerald, like those $4 every single week made a big difference in my income. So if income is your goal, whether it's $1,000 to $2,000 per month or like $200 a week, that $18 cycle bonus helps so much. So diamond is your first goal, and then it opens up the doors for everything else. I'm going to talk about 2-star diamond. If you've not heard about 2-star diamond, basically what you have just done, diamond, you have now taught to 2 people. You've taught them how to go diamond. And you now have 2 leaders on your team. Maybe it could too also be your husband. Maybe you built your spouse's account to diamond. And then you had a leader on your team step up and go diamond, but they do have to be on opposite legs, just so you know. So you do have to have a diamond on each leg. But this is the really, really, really cool thing that happens is that you get to open a second business center when you are a 2-star diamond. And I always like to compare it to Chick-fil-A, a restaurant. So think of when Chick-fil-A is doing really well, or whatever restaurant you guys love to eat at, and in a certain area, like what do? They go down a few miles, maybe 20 minutes down the road, and they open another Chick-fil-A because their first location is flourishing. They're doing so well. So it's like, hey, let's keep helping them out. Let's keep building this business and maximize the income in this area. And so what you get to do is once you are a 2-star diamond, you have 2 diamonds, 1 diamond on each leg, then you get to open up a Brooke number 2 or a Candace number 2 or a Jessica number 2, and you get to place her somewhere else in your organization that maximizes your income in like a major way. So then all of your orders start to go through way down deep in your volume in your organization, and it goes up to your spouse account where you get paid, and then it goes up to your first business center where you get paid. And like that's where, especially if you're someone maybe who's looking to make maybe $1,000, $2,000 a month or replace your income on whatever you're doing, like 2-star diamond is where you want to focus. You also get a quarterly bonus of around $1,000 every single quarter. So that's an awesome thing as well. Okay, and then the next thing is 5-star diamond. I remember when I first looked at this, I'm like, 5-star diamond, like, oh my goodness, 5 diamonds under you, like that's a lot. First off, in our honestly small team, we've had 4 girls do it. So it's totally doable. Nothing special. No offense, Brookie. Nothing special about me. Nothing like super special about you or Dana or Rebecca. Like we all just rallied and did it. And really what it comes down to is finding 3 people to help you go diamond, because your other 2 diamonds are going to be your spouse account and it's going to be your second business center. So it's going to be my husband Josh was 1, and my second business center Brooke 2 I built to diamond as well. And then you just need to find 3 other people, or heck, if you just want, like maybe it will be 5 new diamonds of all different coaches who get you there. But that is really where, like, that is when your organization, I remember for so long, like I just wanted to be so solid. Like, of course I wanted to replace my income and earn a certain amount, but I also wanted to like, hey, when I want to go on a vacation, and hey, if I miss a week or 2 or 3 of like doing some things, I want my team and my income to be super solid. And that's where 5-star diamond really solidified that for me, is that like my team isn't going to crumble when I don't show up or when I get sick or when I do this. Cause kind of for those first few like times of getting to diamond or 2-star, you're really leading the charge. But when you get to 5-star diamond, that's when your organization and your volume and your team is just deep, full of leaders, and you have solid people helping other people and helping with team calls and help, like it's not just on your shoulders. And that's always my vision for this business, is that this was a shared business, that all other people were working as just as hard as I was working because they wanted to, not because I wanted them to, because they wanted to. The really cool thing about 5-star diamond, obviously your volume is spiked. You have 5 diamonds under you. And then the quarterly bonus is between like 3 to 5K. And it gets you, of course, there's more mile markers to elite, but it catapults you to hit elite, which basically just gives you, shows that you have a lot of working coaches underneath you and you're growing new leaders. Okay, so those are just some ideas of things that you could be putting on your vision board as you start to put that together. And then I want to go over reverse engineering your goals. Oh, I just realized I'm about to die on my computer, but this really just like looks like, okay, so whatever your goal is, maybe it's, so this was Dana's, and she just broke it down to, so her goal one year was premier coach. So what did she need to do? She just like figured out monthly what she needed. She figured out weekly what she needed to do, and she figured out daily what she needed to do. So like that's something you can do for any kind of goal you have, not just a coaching goal. You could do it for a fitness goal. You could do it for an income goal. So that is one way. I also liked doing, I wrote out like a lot of I am statements, and then I would reverse engineer. So these are some of my goals that I wrote down in 2017 before like I did all these fancy vision boards and stuff. Like I just pulled out my red notebook from my teaching days and I just started writing things down. And then I just started, okay, so I wrote all these things down I want to have happen. So what needs to happen in these first 30 days of the year? Okay, what needs to happen in the first 60 days of the year and the first 90 days of the year to make sure I'm on track with these goals? So I'm kind of going fast through this, I apologize, but I just want to get this out there of like what, like how you can align your goals with your daily activities. And of course, the biggest one is the Success Club tracker, and which I think we put at the very end, like that for the daily activities gets me to almost every single other coaching goal that I have. Okay, Brooke, I'm going to let you take the reins on this.
Yeah, for sure. I'm actually looking at my notebook right now too, because again, I made this vision board. It's beautiful. Canva, if you guys want to make something like this that's appealing, I did make this last year, and I made it my screensaver for the year because I knew I was going to be working every day on my computer. So it was a constant reminder of, you know, what I was working towards. And was I a superstar diamond team? No, that just makes me laugh. But I have the most BA and fun coaching community ever. So there are a lot of things on here that I've been able to cross off, a lot of things that are still in progress. I'm a big dreamer. So when I dream, I put the big stuff on there. So if you guys want to make something pretty like this, Canva, free app, really easy and simple to learn and use. And it makes it look really pretty. But honestly, I'm literally looking at my notebook right here that I use to work because I don't have anything fancy. I just do everything paper and pen. And I'll frequently just write down like, okay, what am I working towards? Who do I need to become? What do I need to do today? Okay, what do I want my goal to be? Like it should be not a January 2023 thing, and then you look at it in December. This should be somewhere in plain sight that you are constantly reflecting on and looking at. Another good idea is printing it too. If you want to print it, put it in your workspace, on the fridge, so then your family can see too, so they know what you're working towards. I know my kids, holy man, they are in the loop about everything now, which I never used to, but especially with Aubrey getting older, it's been really sweet to have her, you know, sit there and pray and be like, dear God, I hope my mom gets to 5-star. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so sweet. And then she's like, are we going to the Dells again? I'm like, we'll see about that. So anyway, I think we can keep going. I think we just have a couple more examples, and this is Brookie's.
Yes, I need to make mine still for this year. It's like,
Same.
okay, yeah, just it's a lot to think about, but at the same time, like I remember like putting these pictures together and being like, oh, this is like vomiting at these, like, how are these things gonna happen? I'm like, and not all of those things happen that year, but like all of those things have happened since then, which I'm like, that's really cool to see as well. Um, yeah. Do you want to talk about this? You want me to? Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I feel like this is self-explanatory. Like this is like, there's no magic sauce about this business. Like it comes down to the basics of connecting, inviting, running groups, helping people get started. So if you are not using either the Success Club system tracker or your own kind of tracker or have your own kind of method, I know some people are like, which I did for a long time, where like I invited, like my whole goal for Monday was to invite a certain amount of people. And then on Tuesday, it's connect. On Wednesday, it's, you know, follow up. On Thursday, it's pour into my challenge group. So like whatever you need to do, or maybe you're a little bit of each thing every day, like find what works for you and stick with it. Like don't just be like, oh, I did it for 2 weeks or a month or 2 months. And also I think it's so important, like the energy you bring behind this. Like, I mean, this isn't anyone can do those things on those boards, but like, I remember, I think it's Danny Detra always talks about, which I think is huge. Like this is a business, not just of like the activities, but the energy you put behind the activities. People feel a difference in your posts when you are excited about your group that's coming up, rather than if it's like, well, I'm just putting it out there praying that someone buys a challenge pack, like that's a desperation versus like, I love this. People need this because I know it's going to change the world. Like, so think really about, if you feel kind of stale in these activities, think about the energy you're bringing into them and how you can change it up. Maybe, I know for me, sometimes it's as simple as just like blasting music, drinking my Energize, dancing, and like sending some invites. I'm like, yes, this feels so good. And just when you feel good on your own health journey, like how that just transcends. So maybe if you're not feeling that great on your health journey, that's where you need to start with nutrition, with getting back into a program, any of those things. So we're just going to skip this part, but we're going to talk about a few things. So application steps. One, I want everyone right now, every single person on this call, even Brooke, even myself, let's all just share one puke goal we have for 2023. And then over the next week, I want you to put together your vision boards, and I'm giving you a week timeline because I don't want this to be something that like you finally come back to in March. Like, let's start the dream, think through, put at least a vision board together, and hey, come March, come July, if you need to edit it, if you need to tweak it, do so. And then I'm going to encourage you, we're going to create a team album. So a place to put it so that we can pull it up. Again, it's that another layer of accountability, because if you only just write it or put it together and you only share it for your little bubble, like how like, what's the chance that that's actually going to happen? Like what if, like, if you don't share it with the girls who are on your team or who you want to be on your team, of course it's not going to happen. And then you can look in that team album, and you can find other teammates that have the same goals as you, and link arms and run together. Maybe run a group together, maybe run a coach sneak peek together. Because this is not a solo isolating business. It is not a like, I'm all by myself. Like, find people and link arms. Like, I know that's what keeps my business alive, is I'm working with different people every single month to keep things interesting, to keep things fun, to get new ideas flowing. So I'm gonna pull up the chat section. One puke goal. Love it. Okay, my puke goal is 4-time elite, and I want 5 new diamonds. And I say 5 new diamonds because I want to be solid 10-star again. And we're teetering around like 4 and 5-star right now. So, all right, Brookie, do you have anything else you want to add to this before I?
No, I mean, I think that was perfect. I did just add in the chat, have conversations all day long in real life, be a human being. I am finding that I mean, just talk to people. That's the biggest thing. And I look at like my girls, Candace and Anne, and Candace, yep, you totally need to do a team call because it's talking to people. Because if you give yourself a timeline, and this is for me too, if I say I will hit 15 star by December, it is going to take me till December 31st or maybe 2 years from now. Like, we need to really like just break those goals down and just do the right things. And especially for Diamond as a first goal, you're talking to people very strategically. You're having conversations with enough people to get to where you want to go, and you're helping them get set up with what they need and what would be a good fit for them. And it's really great because once you hit that and you get that, you have a good bulk of people, then you can start really getting into the fun of coaching, which is supporting, cheering them on, loving on them, shouting them out. That's like the best part. But yeah, Candace, you definitely got to do a team call. Okay, anyway, I think that was perfect.
Perfect. All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much for jumping on. I know it's nighttime calls are hard. We're trying to figure out like a good flow of like what works best for this team. But we're just appreciative of you guys. Like, this is nothing without everyone linking arms and doing it together. So hope everyone has a good first week of January. Let's keep crushing it. See you guys.